This is Vanderbilt football coach Clark Lea.
All right.
How's Dad doing?
He's doing well. He's getting geared up for game day, I think. So sometimes I think he wants to call the plays, but I'll let him do that.
You've sort of put
we'll let him
the kibosh to
he
that.
Can handle the water on the sideline. That's what his role is.
So as you know, he spent about 3 hours with us at SEC Football Media Days. And the more that he was with us, I just kept thinking back to my dad. You know, my dad would tape all of my games for me. He'd sit at home and, you know, shut the tape off when they'd go to the commercial and then start it all over. And that's your dad to a T.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a ton of old tapes just like what you're talking about. But he's super supportive, and I think he's enjoying this journey with me, which is special, you know, for me to at this point in life to share it with him. I mean, what a neat thing for me to be able to do.
Yeah.
And it's been obviously it's one of the great benefits of being back in Nashville, being home is no different than playing here. I mean, I got to share that playing experience with my family. I get to share this with them too, which is cool.
Yeah. Well, please tell him I said hello.
I will. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what have the fall practices that's not necessarily the right word. Let's retry this. Late summer, what's it been like?
It's been good. I mean, competitive. We've had I believe good development on both or all three phases, and I thought offensively we were a little ahead early in the in camp, and we've caught up on defense. I'm excited. You know, part of that was we had some guys out with some soft tissue issues early on that I thought, you know, hurt us a little bit on defense, but those guys are back now, and it's fun. I mean, it's fun to watch them fly around. Today was a fun day. We're going a little shorter now. Now as we finish out this week and get ready for game week, I want these guys feeling good and ready for a competitive Hawaii team to come in and have a chip on their shoulder.
From back 2 years ago when you got this job, how much more athletic are you all top to bottom?
Well, considerably. I mean, we're considerably faster. In our practice yesterday, we had 20 players over 19 miles an hour and 6 over 20 miles an hour. And that, you know, I know that's, you know, you put those numbers out there and it doesn't really mean much, but that is that's a big leap for us just in pure speed on the field and where we were that first season. And part of that's recruiting, but another part of that is just development, you know, giving guys a chance to train in systems. And, you know, we believe in our strength and conditioning program, and these guys have bought into it. And so you're going to see, you know, that kind of upward movement in terms of guys finding the upper ranges of their ability when you train over time. We've also recruited to improve and enhance the speed of our team. In this league, you got to be fast. And so year one, we were not closing spaces very well. You know, we've gotten better at that. And I think now when you look at our offense too, we have explosive speed. We've got the ability to get behind the defense. What's great about it all is, you know, you're measuring both sides now against more talented, you know, performance. So again, you know the truth about where you are.
Much more accurate read.
Yes, you're not fooling yourselves because the guy that you're covering is running down the field 4.8 or whatever. You know, these guys are getting faster and faster. So defensively, you know, we're seeing that speed, we're covering that speed, and that'll help us as we go obviously through our season too.
Today we have spent some time on the air. The Titans have suffered, and we hope we're wrong about this, but a significant injury to Treylon Burks, the kid from Arkansas, at a position they really need. Which brings me to the whole, God, as a coach, how do you gauge how far are we going with this as opposed to pulling back and not wanting to get important people hurt?
Yeah. Well, it's huge. We chose to start camp early so that we were never going for more than 4 consecutive days. You know, I think what I learned last year was, and really from year one, you cannot grind these guys into dust and expect them to sustain through the season. And what we want to do is strengthen through the season. So we've been really attentive to you know, time away, obviously to recovery time, scheduling recovery time in. But there's also this idea too. You have to play football. Like, we have to be able to play. We have to tackle. We have to scrimmage. And so there's going to be certain things that come up over the course of camp that, because you need to do it, you're leaving yourself exposed a little bit sometimes to an injury here and there. And, you have to have peace of mind about that, because in the end, we're going to need to play good football, and we can't, there is no preseason here. We'll find out when it counts.
Right.
But on the flip side of that, I'm constantly getting the GPS information, getting a feel for where we are, even just the feel of the energy of the room. I'll talk to the leaders, the team leaders, and kind of gauge where they are. And it's just it's a constant push and pull to make sure that we're both getting the work in, but also wanting these guys to start the year fresh.
Kelly Holcomb is in Murfreesboro with us. Kelly, what do you got for Coach Lea?
Well, Coach, we just had your quarterback on at the beginning of the show, and obviously, me being a quarterback, what makes AJ Swan the guy?
Well, he's talented. He's got real, quarterback talent. I mean, I think he's smart. He knows he's decisive with the ball. He throws a really catchable ball. I think he's got a knack for that. But I'll tell you that the thing that I've seen him advance the most in, and this is a credit to his collaboration with Coach Lynch, but he owns the offense now. I mean, I think what they're doing at the line of scrimmage, his ability to get us out of bad plays, knowing what we want to get into, I've been really impressed, and that's obviously going to be able to pay huge dividends to us, to make those at the line adjustments rather than waiting on the sideline or waiting on the coach to do it. I think unlocks a whole nother level of facilitating offense. And if we surround him with the right people, which we have, his job becomes less about the extraordinary play and more about the routine play and getting the ball out of his hand and into the hands of capable playmakers. That's a good recipe for us.
Gotcha. Well, we all know that both sides of the ball, it starts up front. How are you O-line wise? You good? No injuries? You better than you were last year?
Well, we are, just by nature of the fact that we return our O-line. And so them back, more cohesive. They've kept that tough attitude. I feel really good about those guys. That was year one, was probably one of the huge wake up calls, was just our inability to get plays off, and the number of negative yardage plays that we were giving up in a game. And from year one to year two, that was probably my biggest concern, was how are we going to shape up in the O-line room? And I was really impressed with them last spring. And then, obviously they came out and we had a good year, both protecting the quarterback and blocking in the run game. Those guys are back again. They're Coach Blazik's done a great job. They're cohesive. They got attitude. They got identity. And it's been fun to watch them go at it with our D line. You mentioned, it's both sides of the line of scrimmage. And to me, this is again where, in the past we haven't necessarily had, the get off and the attack on the defensive line front, and really the ability to generate pressure on the passer with a 4-man rush. That was something that we really struggled with. I see that changing. I see that gap closing. And so what we've been able to watch this fall is good on good. And as the saying goes, iron sharpens iron. We're better for it.
My last thing. So, with all that being said, have you had any big surprises this camp with a player or with something that's happened? Who's the biggest surprise for you?
Well, we've had some freshmen that have really stepped up and are fighting for significant roles for us. I mean, we have two freshman receivers that have stood out. Junior Sherrill and London Humphreys both have been dynamic with the ball in their hands and have fit right in. So those are guys that are showing the ability to contribute on the defensive side. Martel Hyde, a corner, has proven his ability to be ready to help us win. Anytime you're talking about playing freshmen, you've got to take a developmental approach. They're not going to have it all down game one, but certainly we're excited for those guys. Davion Walker's another guy that we've actually played him both ways this camp. So we flipped him over and he's played some corner. Been really impressed with just his instincts and his ability to recover. We timed him at 4.45 in after spring ball, and he's 6'2". And that doesn't always mean you can cover people, right? There's like body control and and balance involved in that. But man, as he picked up on that really quickly, so I'm excited to see that continuing to develop. And then, to me, it's just been about enhancements in each area. I've been impressed with some of the young linebackers, Brian Longwell and Langston Patterson, head here in year 2, Nick Rinaldi, another guy in the box. They've gotten a little more time just because we've had some injuries to some of the older guys. It's all coming together. And in the end, what though we hate the missed time with guys like DeRicky Wright and Jalen Mahoney and Ethan Barr, but what happens is you end up building that foundational depth that you're going to call on as the year goes. And inevitably in this league, you're going to need a lot of people to step up. Well, we know a lot more about those guys now than we have in the past.
How much better is Hawaii than a year ago?
Well, part of it is just knowing what our program looked like from year 1 to year 2. And again, we called them game 1 of year 1,
right.
Which, obviously is you're trying to figure everything out on the move then. So they'll be significantly improved. I've got a ton of respect for Timmy, and obviously they're battling through a lot of challenging things in their backyard right now. I mean, heart goes out to them.
No kidding.
It's been hard to watch that from thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
They're living it, and that's their family and their homeland. But Timmy's a great coach, and obviously he's an alum just like me. He'll have those boys ready to play, and we'll have our work cut out for us.
Coach, real quick before we let you go, what's the timeline look like here? Obviously, with week 0 starting prep a little bit earlier, but when do you start Hawaii? Is it late this week, early next week? Just kind of a little idea of what that looks like for you guys.
Yeah, so we'll have 5 days next week, which 5 practice days. Normally a Monday would be a walkthrough, and you'd kind of go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday walkthrough, and then you play. But we'll practice Monday in pads, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll start to scale back Friday walkthrough. But we're going to start our Hawaii work on Friday this week. And so I would like to get one day where we've introduced kind of what scout looks should be. And that way, by the time Monday comes around, we're not figuring it out for the first time. So we'll have those conversations tomorrow with our team, start to identify those early season roles as they played out through our preparation cycle. And then, Friday we'll come out and have a good, Hawaii day. Saturday is like our kind of bench control mock game in helmets. It's also picture day, George. So
nobody wants my picture.
Nobody wants your picture,
No.
But
no, there's a reason it was radio.
But anyways, and then we'll be going in earnest then. So by the time we're back at it on Monday, we should have at least the base levels of the package for game day.
It's almost
ready.
here.
It's incredible how fast
almost
it goes.
here.
It is hard to believe.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about this as a team. Like, we spend a year. I mean, this team has spent a year preparing for this, and what we have on our schedule is 3 more months. I mean, it's 3 months, and we're fighting for a 4th, and it's going to go really quickly. And so we've just been, fighting to stay focused and be where our feet are, and just try to maximize it. And we feel like we have something special here, but it's going to be something that we have to go out and manifest every day, right? We got to fight for it. We got to earn it. But it's also a fun time, to be with this program, because all the work we put in for the first 2 years is we're now sitting here and saying, hey, this looks like something that's ready. Now we got to go make it happen.
And there's a dad up there at the top, living and dying
I'm
with
surprised.
It.
He's probably your next guest. I mean, he's slinking around in the hallway somewhere, just waiting for
I
his
asked
turn.
him jokingly at media days, and he was like, "Oh no." He was
no, he knew he was going to get demerits from you.
Yeah. It's funny. I obviously I knew he was going to be kind of shadowing us for the day, and I thought that was awesome. And
you looked over at one point like, what is he doing with y'all?
Well, listen, I left media day, and of course for me, it's like, I mean, George, I mean, you're on for however long you're there.
Sure.
It's a half day. And when I left, we came back here, and I was just in like pure decompression mode. We had another event that night that I had to get to. So I was just trying to kind of catch my breath. And about an hour after I got back to my office, I was like, what, let me call Dad and just check on him. So I call him. Well, I figured he'd be home, relaxing.
Oh no.
He was he was still
there.
still there, and sending me pictures of him and Paul Feinbaum, and you know, so he got to know everybody, I think.
You
He's the
know,
best.
my dad pulled the kind of stunt every once in a while where he would show up at civic clubs that I was speaking at. People would invite him. And so he knew it would kind of get me a little unnerved. So finally, one day he shows up at one, and I just said, by the way, Dad, I said, nice of you to be here. I said, Mom wants you to pick up a dozen eggs on the way home.
That's good.
He gave me one of those signals like, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Anyway,
That's great.
I love how much he cares. And I look forward. You know, I almost texted him today to say, come over. We're doing a show.
Oh, he would have been here.
I
He's gonna,
guarantee
you know what?
would've.
He's going to be upset that you didn't. So
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure I blame you for that, and I don't take the blame for it.
Thanks for coming over here.
Good
Thanks,
to, I
Coach.
appreciate y'all being here. Good to be with you always.